Welcome back to Old War Stories with Uncle Jay. This one is entitled Flooded Out Aspen. What's Aspen? Aspen, Colorado? No, 1978 Dodge Aspen. The car that my dad had when I was a kid. It was a Leaf or something, had the venerable and indestructible Chrysler Slant 6 engine that you couldn't kill, a one barrel carburetor, I believe, and 3-speed automatic transmission. I have such fond memories of that car. Love to get one day, but they're real hard to find one in any kind of shape. So it's hard. But there's a lot of Dodge Darts out there. And that kind of ties in with this a little bit to a degree. Anyways, the Dodge Aspen. Cutting to the chase, somewhere around we're going to say about 1986. Could have been 87, maybe. Don't know. Cutting to the chase again, every Friday my grandmother would come and stay the weekend at my parents' house to take care of us kids. In other words, my mother was so busy doing nothing all week that Grandma had to come. But we loved Grandma, so what the fuck, right? And Grandma would take the train from Brooklyn every Friday, and my mother would pick her up and this and that. Well, we always had two cars. I don't remember what the story was. I don't know if one car was... Well, no, it couldn't have been. It's hard to say. I don't remember what the deal was, but for some reason, that day, my dad had to take the other car into work. I don't know what the reason was. If it were 1987, he had the 87 Toyota Camry, and he just wanted to actually enjoy this brand new car that he bought as, maybe it'll be a pleasure driving to work. And I think he had he could park in the parking garages in Manhattan that the company would pay for and this and that. So for whatever reason, that was that. And that left my mother driving the Dodge. My mother and this Dodge Aspen did not get along. I don't know what it was, but she always had trouble starting it. She wasn't used to such a big car, which is odd because she owned a 65? No. Maybe 72. No. It was late 60s. I'm having a hard time remembering. My dad would remember, but anyway, it was a late 60s Dodge Dart that also had the Slant 6 and the 3-speed automatic and the whole nine, and it was about the same size car, maybe even bigger. So why she had so much trouble with this car, I don't know. Every Friday, my grandmother would come, and we had this whole routine. We would go grocery shopping. We would go out to eat at a number of different restaurants. There was this Italian place we used to go to, a Chinese place that we used to go to, and occasionally we would go to the diner that was in town called the Lantern Diner. Believe it or not, they are still in business to this day, except these days they suck. I will not go there again. And it's a shame because I have many, many memories of this place back when I was a kid, because we used to go there, fairly often. And I just remember so many things about the place. The floor tiles, the bus boys who didn't speak English even back then. The food was great. Everything about this. The place was fantastic. It even had at the tables, they had the little jukebox thing where you throw some money in, and then you could turn this dial and select some song you wanted to play, and a quarter would give you one play, and 2 quarters would give you 2, and then 3 quarters would give you 4 plays or something like that. They cut your break on that like that, some shit like that. I don't know if anybody remembers those little music things you could have at the table, and it had, I remember, volume control, soft or loud. That was your choice. There was no, you didn't have a dial you could turn or a slider or anything. It was soft or loud. And loud wasn't that loud, and soft was kind of too quiet. We might have used it once or twice. I don't remember. Maybe somebody in the next table had it on. I don't know. But anyway, those things are long gone. It's a shame. Those were pretty cool. I should look that up. Anyway, we were there. It was a rainy Friday night. I don't know if we went grocery. It was a cold, rainy Friday night. And we had the Dodge Aspen. And my mother and this car just didn't get along. I don't know what it was, but once it was started and running, she was pretty much okay. But her parking it, I don't know, it's a big car because she had a Chevette, 76 Chevette, which is a little roller skate compared to that. So I don't know if she was just used to that at that point or what, but it was just always a hassle with her in that car. And there were only maybe 5 times over the years that she drove it that I was with her. So I don't know. Anyways, we go to the Lantern. Hi, table for 4. Okay, smoking or not. My mother always smoked, so smoking section it was. So we sat down and she lit up, of course, and we looked at the menus and whatever, and the waiter came by and we ordered and we got our food, we ate. Typical night at the diner. Nothing special. We go up to the front, we pay the bill, we go outside, it's raining, we get in the car. My mother could not get this car started. Now, granted, again, this thing was carbonated. She tried and tried and tried and tried and tried and tried. And this car would not start. Not even a hint of it starting. Not even a pop. Nothing. It was just, it would crank and crank, but it just would not start. And it was running just fine before. So now, of course, my dad, when he finds out about this shit, is not going to be good. He's not going to be happy. Well, anyways, we're stuck at the diner. Now, this was only really about a mile from home. It really wasn't far. But we were stuck. And we were young kids, my sister and I. My grandmother was in her 60s. I guess, or early 70s, something like that. So she was getting old, but she lived to be 98, so that wasn't old at that time. And we went back in, and my mother came in and said, I don't know if you can help me. My car won't start, this and that, some crap about that. So there was a guy who worked there, and he happened to come up to the counter at the point where the lady behind the counter was like, I don't know how I can help you, ma'am. I mean, if you want to use the phone, I can let you use the phone, but other than that, I don't know how to help you. And the guy says, well, you know, I could look at it quick if you want. I could see if I could start it. So we went back out, we got back in the car, and he tried to start it. Wouldn't start. Simply would not start. Crank and crank, but it would not start. My mother started crying, like, not crying, but like, what am I supposed to do? I have my mother here, she's elderly, she, you know, jazzes everything up exaggerates everything way beyond what it's supposed to be. Blah-bitty, blah, 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 blah. On and on and on, carrying on. And my 2 young children and this and that, whatever. So the guy says, where do you live? Oh, I'm down over here. About a mile down the road. Well, I don't know. I got to go back in and ask for permission, but if you'd like, I can drive you home. And this was the 80s. So you could kind of still trust people a little bit. So anyway, he went in and he told them the sob story and this and that, and they said, all right, you know, she's nearby, just come right back and whatever. So we got in his car. I don't know if he had like a Trans Am or something. He had some car. I don't remember what it was. Very, very, like a black interior, I seem to remember. And the back window had them louvers on it that we used to have on the old Trans Ams and shit like that, the louvered back windows in the Camaros. Maybe it might have been a Camaro, I don't know. But anyway, he drove us home in that, and then my mother called the beeper service from my dad and told him the good news. Anyways, the next day, because my dad worked nights, the next day, I don't know, maybe 11 a.m., noon, something like that, they let us leave the car parked there at the diner overnight. Nobody bothered it. Nobody ticketed it. Nothing. And my dad says, okay, well, let me just look under the hood first, see if there's anything obvious. And he looks under the hood. Nothing obvious. He says, all right, well, let me try it. It started right up. It ran perfectly. Not a thing wrong with the car. It didn't stall out. It wasn't misfiring. Nothing. It ran perfectly fucking fine. Did my mother maybe go through a huge puddle which splashed the ignition and maybe it kind of sputtered into the parking spot and I don't remember that bit and it had dried out by the next day? Yes, that's entirely possible. Could it be that she flooded it out? And really fucking bad? I'd imagine maybe that's what it was. But it was a rainy night, so maybe that's what it was. But the guy with the Camaro or Trans Am or something, I mean, that was carbonated also. He knows what to do with a flooded out engine. So he put the pedal to the metal and started cranking it. It just wouldn't start. I don't remember if he poked around under the hood for a minute or something like that, but anyway, the next day it started up just fine. There was not a thing wrong with the car, and we drove it back home. I don't know, but my mother and that car just did not get along. And it's odd because she drove something with the exact same drivetrain in years past. So it's really odd to me. I don't know. But anyway, that's really the end of the story. It was just odd getting in this guy's car with the louvered back windows. Guy we don't know. Took us home. The car is stuck somewhere. It was just this. You never knew this, would happen. But this is what happened back in the day. This is what went on. This is the kind of stuff that you dealt with. And whatever the problem was, just again, it was not a problem the next day, and the car was just fine from then on. Until something else on it broke, but it wasn't that. I don't know. Just an odd thing, and I definitely remember that story. I don't know if my mother or my father would actually remember that. If they do, and I told them this story, then they would remember that it happened, but they wouldn't remember any details about it. Anyway, that's going to wrap this one up. Thanks so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.